Good evening, Bahamas. This is NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's making news tonight. A woman reportedly stabs her husband, leaving him fighting for his life tonight. A tornado touches down on Harbor Island. The new cabinet tours development at LPIA. William Cartwright memorialized by the PLP. Plus, ministers from 17 countries talk about food security in the region. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and NB12 starts right now. Here at NB12. An alleged domestic dispute leaves a man fighting for his life this afternoon, and police urging members of the public to seek help before resorting to violence. Christina McNeil has more.
Residents of a quiet Warren Street neighborhood still in shock this afternoon after a domestic dispute broke out, sending a woman and her husband to hospital. Curious residents looked on from behind the caution tape in the hot afternoon sun, hoping to learn more about the incident that left their neighbor fighting for his life. Officer in charge of the Fort Charlotte Urban Renewal Program, Inspector Denzel Barr, tells our news team his officers were called to the B&B Bed and Breakfast on Warren Street around 1:30 p.m.
We responded to find that there was a male who was injured, appeared to be bleeding. His injuries appeared to be serious. We also found a female who also had some injuries to her. Information thus far that these two individuals seems to know each other. They're related. It seems to be a domestic situation.
By the time our news team arrived on the scene, the man had already been taken to hospital via ambulance. Barr says the woman was found at a business up the street, also with stab wounds.
The lady left from this location and ended up at that particular location. An ambulance was summoned there to give her treatment and take her to hospital.
An eyewitness claims he saw the woman kick down the door of the bed and breakfast. Later, an employee who was at the bed and breakfast at the time of the incident claims he was working on a computer when he heard a man's voice coming from the eastern bedroom. Alarmed, he says he walked toward the bedroom and discovered a woman covered in blood. The employee says he asked her if her husband was okay, and she replied yes before closing and locking the bedroom door. The employee says he tried calling out to get a response from the husband, who he could not see. When he got no response, he says he ran outside to look through the window. It was then, he says, he saw the man lying on the floor in a pool of blood. Witnesses say the man appeared to be stabbed in the head, neck, and back and had lost a lot of blood. Inspector Barr added that both the man and woman appeared to have stab wounds, but the man's injuries were significantly worse. Police are still unsure of exactly what sparked this incident. However, they're sending this message to anyone who may find themselves in a domestic dispute.
We wish to reiterate to members of the public, if you're having any domestic situation or anything similar, we ask you to please contact the police, contact your pastor, contact the crisis center, contact some form of mediator, that the matter would not get to an extent whereby you find that the police on the emergency medical situation, personnel may have to get involved in the situation. So that is our advice, and we urge people to do that, because this situation here today could really turn out to be devastating, and I pray and I trust that it don't.
Up to airtime, the man's condition was listed as critical. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Police also investigating an alleged drowning after a man's body was retrieved from Nassau Harbor behind the Moscow building this morning. His body was discovered shortly after 9 a.m. Police quickly recovered the body from the harbor and transported it to the morgue. However, up to airtime, there were no further details on the victim or the incident. Meantime, the body of a man believed to be in his early 30s was discovered yesterday afternoon, and police are appealing to members of the public who suspect that a male relative is missing to contact them immediately. Residents of Hospital Lane made the discovery around 4 p.m. yesterday on a property just north of Meeting Street on Hospital Lane. Inspector Chrislyn Skippings explains.
The victim is believed to be about 5 feet 6 inches tall, of medium built, and he was discovered without any injuries to the body. What we would like to do also is to appeal to family members who may not have seen a relative in the past maybe 3-4 hours to kindly give our officers a call at CDU at 502-9991, or you can contact the Central Divisional Detective Unit at 322-1054 or 322-4124 with any information, and we will take it from there.
The cause of death is unknown at this time. Inspector Skipping said an autopsy will be performed to determine exactly how the man died. Well, a tornado touched down in Harbor Island, Eleuthera today, giving residents quite a scare. Harbor Island resident Christopher Catalano sent us this video of the cyclone. There were no reports of injuries. However, this photo of a truck that appeared to have swerved into a house was posted on social media website Facebook with the caption, "Aftermath Bryland Tornado." Weather forecasters at the Department of Meteorology said they could not confirm the reports themselves, but according to reports from residents and photos they saw, it appears to be a tornado. It's also said that tornadoes today were possible because there were thunderstorms throughout several islands. However, up to airtime, there were no warnings for tornadoes or any severe weather. Well, thousands of cellular customers on New Providence unable to make calls for most of the afternoon. Much to their frustration, customers attempting to make calls today may have received messages like "call failed" or "no network connectivity" on their cell phones, leaving many without a source of communication throughout the day. According to BTC's Facebook page, as a result of ongoing upgrades, customers were facing issues making calls, texts, and using internet data on their cellular phones. BTC notes it is aware of the issue and is working to resolve it promptly. Earlier this week, customers were without service for several hours as BTC's massive upgrade of its mobile network once again affected service. Last month, BTC warned that for a 6-week period beginning in June, cellular customers would experience extensive disruptions in service as the company installs a new 2G network, new SMS platform, and implements changes to the prepaid billing system. BTC CEO Jeff Houston and VP of Marketing Marlon Johnson were unavailable for comment up to airtime. Well, 75% of the Linden-Pindling International Airport's expansion project is complete. Work is winding down on the second stage of the $409.5 million project, and contractors have already started on stage 3. Prime Minister Perry Christie got a first-hand look at the project's progress today during a brief tour. Once the overall project is complete, the government plans to erect what officials call a physical embodiment of Sir Linden-Pindling at the airport. Vonnie Toot reports.
It's hard to picture it now, but in just 4 months, millions of passengers will come through this building when they arrive in the Bahamas. Prime Minister Perry Christie and members of his cabinet took a tour of Phase 2 of the Linden-Pindling International Airport expansion project today. President and CEO of the Nassau Airport Development Company, Stuart Steve, says this phase is on schedule and on budget.
Project budget is $409.5 million. So 75% of that in value has already been constructed on site. So we're 75% complete. 25% of the $409 million budget has yet to be spent to finish the project.
Work on the new international arrivals terminal is also 75% complete, with an expected opening in October 2012. It will feature 4 retail locations, 4 restaurants, bars and lounges, and 6 hotel reception lobbies. Steve said they managed to save $10 million on stage 2.
That was factored into the budget, the $409.5, but we saved about $10 million by reusing the existing structure of what was the old U.S. departures terminal and turning it into the new international arrivals terminal that we toured through today. And as you probably saw today, and the visitors will, and the users, when it's complete, you can't recognize it for the old facility that it was. So it was savings, but nobody will recognize the old facility. It'll appear brand new in every way.
Even as Stage 2 work continues, NAD has already begun working on Stage 3. That's the construction of a domestic and international check-in hall, as well as a domestic arrival facility. Once the overall project is complete at the end of next year, the NAD CEO says they expect to come in under the $409.5 million budget. Prime Minister Christie says he is pleased with the progress being made on the expansion project.
This is just a part of an overall vision to complete the tourism product on the island of New Providence. And as I indicated earlier, there had been an intention to have a resort at Rose Island. There was an intention to have a resort at South Ocean. Albany is obviously in progress, The idea being that we were going to have the bodies by the millions to pass through these corridors and halls of this Lynden Pinling International Airport.
When complete, the overall terminal capacity will increase from 3 million passengers a year to 5 million. 450 people are currently working on Phase 2 of the project. 70% of them are Bahamians. Christie says that's not enough.
We know that there is room for improvements even of the 70% by ensuring that we have a dynamic training program where even more workers, if not by the second phase, by the third phase, would be able to become involved actively on this site. That's the aim of government, to work with those who manage the airport and to work in the best interests of Bahamians.
LPIA was renamed in honor of former Prime Minister the late Sir Lynden Pinling in 2006. When this nation celebrates its 40th anniversary of independence, Transport and Aviation Minister Glenys Hanna-Martin says the government plans to erect and unveil what she calls a physical embodiment of Mr. Pinling at a strategic place in the airport. The overall LPIA expansion project is also expected to be completed on schedule and on budget in November 2013. Reporting for MB12, I'm Vonique Jude.